Dungeons and Dragons, Frost Giants Fury, issue number 5. So I kind of have this weird relationship with Dungeons and Dragons in that I love the universe that franchise has created. There have been plenty of games that I've played that I love, like Baldur's Gate, but I have never ever gotten the chance to play the actual tabletop RPG. And that's always been, that's always kind of bothered me because I've always wanted to one of these days. I've never gotten the chance to play any tabletop RPG, and that's something that's definitely like on my bucket list. One of these days, I want to play something. I think the closest I ever got was I spent a session with friends creating a character for Vampire the Masquerade, but we never went the next step and actually had a session with stories and all that crap. I do have a friend now who just went out and bought a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons like starter kits and stuff like that. I think he wants to get a session going, so hopefully that'll work out because that's one of my goals in life. One of these days is to play some kind of tabletop RPG because it sounds like it'd be like a lot of fun. Anyways, Frost Giants Fury. I think there's maybe 3, 4. I don't know. The characters in Frost Giants Fury have appeared in previous Dungeons and Dragons series. Like basically, it's like this ongoing series with this group. I haven't read any of the previous stuff, but I am definitely going to see if I can find it because I am digging this series a lot. But I know for a fact that there was a previous series before this, just because the first issue itself even told you. So I'll just give you like a brief overview of what's been happening. So this is issue number 5. This is from IDW. So basically, we have this these group of 5, well 6 if you want to count the hamster. And they've gone on previous adventures together in previous series. I don't know how many series there have been. Basically, each Dungeons and Dragons with this group is like a little mini series, and then when it ends, the same group comes back under a different title, and they have another little mini series adventure, and then it's almost like I guess sessions where each little mini series is a session, and then they go into another adventure, and then that's its own mini series. But the group stays consistent. I gotta track down those other series because this series is really good. I'm really enjoying it. But in their last encounter, they were fighting what was the name? Demiplane of Dread. Basically, I think it was like vampires and werewolves and stuff like that, and they were getting their asses kicked. So they used like this magic to teleport them out, but they didn't really like set their destination, and they ended up landing in basically like this frozen tundra, like in the northern reaches of the Forgotten Realms. So they're in the northern regions of the Forgotten Realms. They encounter giants. They're able to fight them off. Then they meet this one. Oh man, I can't believe I forgot his name. This lizard guy who takes. I think he's a dragonborn or a half dragon or whatever Dungeons and Dragons they call it. I'm sorry if I'm like butchering this. Like I said, I've never gotten a chance to play the games before. I just other than the video games and stuff like that, and reading some books from them. That's all my knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons really is. But yeah, it's like I believe it's like a dragonborn. Anyways, he takes them back to their his village where it's like a mixed race. You know, dwarves, elves, humans, blah blah blah, and what happened was basically there's giants that are harassing them, and they go to help the village by fighting off the giants. They encounter a dragon. They ask the dragon to leave the village alone. The dragon says it will. In return, our little group of heroes need to get the dragon's eggs back because basically the giants stole the dragon's eggs. So if they do that, then the dragon will leave the village alone. So they agree, but then giants attack. They steal this dragon orb, which controls the dragon, and now our group of heroes have a mission where they have to go into the giant's fortress or cave, I should say, and just kind of scout it out, and then come back and report to the army so that they're like prepared for their assault. That's kind of like a really brief rundown of what's been going on. And basically, they went, they scouted out the cave. One of the characters, the thief, actually saw the dragon eggs. He took it, and then the giants showed up, and now we're about to have this battle. But before I start that, here's just the quick overview of the characters. So we have Minsk, who's a ranger, and he's pretty awesome. He is like obsessed with heroism, but his like the way he talks is just hilarious. Hopefully, I'll be able to show some examples. And then on his shoulder, you can see his hamster Boo. And then we have Delina, who's a wild mage sorceress moon elf. We have Krydel. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce. I believe he's half human, half elf. Yeah, he's a bastard half elven son. He's his class is a thief. And then we have one of my other favorite characters, Shandi, who is a halfling, and she's a rogue class character. That's probably like the character that I would pick. I'm always a fan of rogues when it comes to like RPGs and stuff like that. And then I don't know how to really pronounce this one. Nears? I'm just gonna call her Nears. She's a cleric, and in the last adventure, she was attacked by, I believe, a werewolf. So yeah, we start off with the heroes fighting the giants, and yeah, see, like we get memes. My friends, let us die as warriors. And then Krydel is like, gotta be honest with you, Mince. I'd rather not die at all. But I just love these characters. There's like a nice blend of humor mixed with this story. Like, this isn't a parody. This isn't a comedy. This is more of a lighthearted Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Like, you're not going to get any dark fantasy stuff going on, though it does have its serious moments. This series is more on the lighter side, and I really like that. This issue is actually going to be going by real quick because it's a lot of action, and I'm not going to be describing every little action scene. So while everyone's fighting, we see Mince, and he has this magic potion. And basically what it is one of the clerics from the village gave it to him. And what happens is when you drink it, you turn huge. Like, you turn into the size of a giant. But during the fight, he loses it. So he's trying to chase it down. Meanwhile, Krydel has some of the dragon eggs. And the leader of the giants is controlling one of the dragons and basically starts taunting the dragon. He's like, look, that little one's carrying your eggs. I bet you'd love to get your kids back, but you can't. You can't do nothing lest I say so, long as I hold the dragon orb of yours. And then Shandi notices the orb, so she shoots it with an arrow and knocks it out of the giant's hands. And now there's nothing controlling the dragon, so the dragons start helping in the attack against the giants. So yeah, cut back to Mince. And again, I like this. Finally, this frozen battle has finally thawed before our hotness. And once I drink this potion of giant stuff, and then, of course, the thing falls and it breaks. But then his little hamster buddy, Boo, goes down there and slurps up the giant stuff, as Minx calls it, and turns into a giant hamster. I was chuckling at this. I don't know. Like, I like this kind of humor. But yeah, Minx is all happy. He's like, Boo! My giant-sized, miniature giant-sized hamster. Like, I just love the way that Mince talks. Everything out of his mouth is hilarious. Just because, like, his metaphors are just, like, so bad. And that's all he talks in. Yeah, okay, here's a good line by Mince. The evil enemies are routed by their evil schemes. This is our chance. Now we must dig deep into the bottomless bowels of our warrior stomachs and vomit forth a tide of courage like no other. Charge! I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, I just like that's supposed to be like encouraging, but it's just like, I don't know, if I was there, I'll just be like looking at Mince like, what the hell are you, like, what did you just want us to do? Vomit forth our tide of courage? What? But yeah, like, basically the whole series is just Mince like letting out lines like this. It's hilarious. So yeah, Delina is talking to the dragon and basically says, we've returned your children as promised. Now, in return, you will not harm any more humans, right? And the dragon says yes. And the dragon asks about the orb. And we get this like sweet little moment where Delina ends up, she can keep the orb for herself and in return, like, control the dragons. But instead she hands the orb to the dragon and says, no creature should control another against their will. And later that night, everybody is celebrating. And while everybody's having fun, Nears is like on the outskirts looking at the moon. And we get like a flashback to the previous series, which I have to see if I can track down. And we see her getting bit by what looks like a werewolf. And then she ends up transforming. And then it just says to be continued with a question mark. I think that is because this was the last issue of this series. It would have to be because the frost giants are destroyed. So I'm hoping that there's going to be another series with this group because I really enjoyed it. This is the only series that I've read with them, but I'm loving these characters. Like, Minsk is just funny with just like his crazy like dialogue and his like obsession with heroism. Boo, I mean, how can you hate on a hamster? Delina seems to just be kind of there. Maybe she has a bigger part in previous series, but from like what little I've seen of her, I got no complaints about her character. Crydell is probably one of my favorites. I like him. He's really cool. Shandi, I would have to say, is my favorite. Shandi the halfling. She's just awesome. Like I love her character. And then Nears, I don't really know much about her. She spent like most of I think like the first two issues, she was spent unconscious because the I guess the attack in the previous series like really it put her on death's door basically. So like the first two issues she was kind of unconscious, and then the next couple of issues she was just another part of the group. Like she didn't have like a huge part in the story. I'm assuming if they continue the series, then the next series will be she'll play a huge part because she's transforming to a werewolf. But yeah, that was Dungeons and Dragons Frost Giants Fury. It's by IDW. I believe, like I said, this was the final issue. There have been previous series with this group, and I have to track it down because this is really good. It's a really fun adventure. If you guys like hard fantasy with like lighthearted stories, then definitely either track down this series, maybe try to track down the previous series. Just give this a shot. Like I really think it's really good. So yeah, here's hoping that the series continues. Any Dungeons and Dragons fans out there? Anyone that's played Dungeons and Dragons? And if you have, how was it? It seems like a lot of fun. Like it's something I really want to try out. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys all next time. Later.